Hi there and welcome. I am excited today to spend some time with you talking about the differences between senior apartments and independent living communities. My name is Dawn Freeman. I own a company called Senior Lifestyle Georgia. I am also a licensed realtor with Heartland Realty. And today I'm going to talk with you a little bit about those types of communities, but also the unique services that we provide. We are 55 plus senior living experts. So whether you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, if you're looking for a 55 plus community, or if you're looking for a independent living, assisted living, memory care, or senior apartment, we are your one-stop shop. We can be a resource to you and guide you completely through the process. So today we're going to talk about apartments and independent living, but stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more to come. So there are some main differences between senior living apartments and independent living communities. Most The largest difference is probably the cost. There is definitely an additional cost for the independent living community, as they do offer more services than your senior apartments typically do. Also, meals. So, with an independent living, you may receive 2 meals a day or 3 meals a day on average. It's really important to find out what your community is offering. With both options, you do have a full kitchen, so you are able to heat things in your own kitchen, or make foods or meals if you'd like to. With independent living communities, they do have those 2 to 3 meals provided. And you can also often buy extra meals. So if you're in a community that only provides 2 meals and you want three, it's usually a fairly nominal charge to increase to 3 meals a day. Amenities are different. Your independent living communities are going to have many more amenities than your senior apartments. Housekeeping. So, with independent living, they almost all include housekeeping. With your senior apartments, unfortunately, that is something that you will typically have to do yourself, or you will have to hire out for. Staffing is different. Your independent living communities have many more staff members in their communities because they are offering so many different things that you're not going to find in a senior living apartment. With independent living communities, you will often have a call button where you can call for assistance. So if you have fallen and you hit that call button, you can call to get assistance. Now, because you are not under their care, they may not be able to pick you up. They might not be able to render care to you, but what they can do is call for help and keep you comfortable until that help arrives. Transportation is often provided in an independent living community. You can schedule doctor's appointments. You can go on shopping trips. They do excursions. I have even seen communities here in Atlanta take gambling trips to Biloxi and things like that. So you do have that transportation aspect with independent living. Availability. So both typically will have some sort of availability. Senior apartments, though, they can be tough to get into. So you may have to go onto a waiting list, where an independent living community, if you've got a good one in the area, they're generally going to stay 95 to 97% occupied. Sometimes they've got a wait list you can go on. So that's always another option. Activities. So you could find some activities in a senior apartment. I have seen where they've had socials. They might have an arts and crafts room. They might have a library where you can come and check books out of. Activities in an independent living community are very structured. They often have amenities like yoga studios, arts and craft rooms, painting classes. They oftentimes have pools. They have bocce outside. They will have putting greens, but they will often have scheduled entertainers. and a lot on in those communities. And then oftentimes your independent living communities will also have on-site providers. So they may have a home care company that they have right there on site to help their residents. But they could also have physical therapy, occupational therapy, or speech as well on site. I recently saw where a resident who was living in independent living had a stroke, and they were able to come back to the community and do a respite stay in the attached assisted living for a month while they did go through physical therapy and occupational therapy. And it just gave them that boost to get a little bit stronger so that they could return to their independent living apartment. So there is some benefits to that as well. Typically, with a senior apartment, you are not going to have those on site providers. So let's talk about cost. Senior apartments are definitely going to be much less. They're going to average between 1,400 to 1,800 per month. Some are subsidized, but those are difficult to come by. Also, the income qualifications for a senior apartment can sometimes be tough to qualify for. Some of those apartments require that you make 3 to 4 times the rent amount in income each month to rent an apartment. So you definitely want to look into that. There are some subsidized, there's some graduated rental reductions based on income and things like that. But again, those are very, very hard to come by. And so I would definitely, when you're looking at those senior apartments, consider the fact that that might be something that you won't be able to get, at least initially. Most of the times, the renter pays for all utilities. Sometimes I've seen water is included when you're moving into a senior apartment. As far as independent living, a one bedroom apartment in an independent living community is going to average between $4,000 and $5,000 per month. If you go to a two bedroom, you're typically going to exceed that $5,000 mark. Some independent living communities also offer cottages as well as apartments. The one thing that I'll caution you as far as a cottage goes is if you are somebody that has some mobility issues, you want to remember that you're going to have a lot of walking to do, especially at mealtime. So you're going to be walking back and forth, and you're also going to have to walk through the elements. But if you're downsizing from a house, if you want a garage and things like that, sometimes those cottages are a really good option. In independent living, the senior typically pays for their own utilities. Wi-Fi and trash are most often included. And a lot of times you'll also find that water is included as well. Let's talk about food options because food is super important to all of us. Senior apartments are typically not going to offer many food options, if any. Sometimes they will host a happy hour or a meet and greet type of situation where they'll offer refreshments. Some do offer coffee in their lobbies. Some do offer even a continental breakfast, but even that is rare to find. Independent living communities typically have outstanding food options. They are hiring chefs that come from five-star restaurants. Each meal will typically have 1 to 2 options. If you don't like those, there's usually an always available menu that you can order from. Most often, breakfast is served made to order, so you can order what you would like, and you're served just as though you're in a five-star restaurant. So it's a really great experience, and it's a good way to get to meet your neighbors. Both communities are going to have great amenities for the most part. Might find some senior living apartments that are older that do not have any amenities or very few, but the newer ones are usually being built with a lot of really nice amenities. That being said, a senior apartment that is new that has those upscale amenities could exceed $2,000 a month in rent for sure. But as far as communities go, most independent living communities are now being built with pickleball courts because pickleball is the new sport. Theaters, they oftentimes have dog parks. And one of the neatest things that I have seen them do recently is a lot of them are building doggy wash stations. So if you have a pup that you're bringing to the community with you, a lot of times there's a room where you can go in and wash the dog and groom it. So that's a really neat feature within communities. Again, with independent living, they are going to typically offer much more. They're going to be the folks that have theaters. A lot of times they'll have bistros or demonstration cooking kitchens. They'll have that wellness check system. They're going to have salons where a lot of times you can get your hair, your nails done. Many of them even have massage studios. They're going to have organized activities with a bus for offsite outings or even doctor's appointments. They will have that in house home care. They're going to have a concierge at the front desk, usually 24/7. They are going to have on site assisted living if you need more assistance in many cases. If you are somebody that you feel like assisted living is not too far off, I would encourage you to locate an independent living that has assisted living right there on site so that you are not having to relocate to somewhere completely different. A lot of times they are going to have PT and OT on site. They'll have housekeeping and laundry services. They're going to have visiting physicians, and then they're going to have those scheduled events and activities each day. Here's the best part of all. Both are going to be maintenance free. You can stop spending your days fixing the gutter that's fallen off the house or washing windows or mowing your grass. You are going to be able to enjoy the things that you enjoy doing every single day rather than worrying about upkeep on a home. So, how do we pay for senior apartments or independent living communities? Both of them are going to be almost always private pay. As we talked about earlier, some senior apartments take that Section 8 housing or can be income based, but a lot of times those have a very long wait list. Veterans benefits do not cover either senior apartments or independent living. If you do need help and you are a veteran who served at least one day during active wartime and you meet some income requirements, a lot of times they will cover the cost of home care coming in to help you. Long-term care insurance also does not pay for either senior apartments or independent living communities because they are independent. It is not a scenario where you're going to get assistance. So, what makes sense for you or your loved one? So, I'm a huge proponent of moving one time. If you make the right decision the first time, you're not going to have to move multiple times, which is only going to put stress on you, your family, anybody else that's involved in that decision. If you are moving a elderly relative who has dementia or other cognitive issues, multiple moves can definitely be detrimental to them. So you want to make that decision and make it right the first time. If you are considering a move for a parent or a spouse, sometimes there's a consideration. Do you keep them together in the same community? Or would it be better if they were separated into two separate apartments? Sometimes we see this. So we may have a spouse where the wife is completely independent, but she is home caring for that husband who has dementia. And so a lot of times with folks that move into communities, the husband may go into memory care and the wife goes into independent living. She can still visit often. She can have meals with him. She can take him out whenever she wants, but she can also go back to enjoying life and not being the caregiver for that spouse. Um, do you have benefits that you can utilize that you won't be able to use in independent living? That's another thought. If you are someone who does need help with three ADLs, and by ADLs, I'm talking about your activities of daily living. That might be bathing, that might be dressing, it might be cooking, driving. you are most likely better off looking towards assisted living. And if you are selling a home, it's my goal to get you moved from your beloved home with as much money in your pocket as possible. Let's talk about how we can accomplish that. I know that as a senior, your home is most likely your biggest asset, and I want to see you get every bit that you can from that home sale. So, what next? Pick up the phone, call me. You can also email me. Either way, my email is dawnfreeman2020 at gmail.com. If you're considering selling, if you're considering buying, or if you're considering moving into a community, or you just need some advice as to where to go next, I am your one stop shop. Let me handle this all for you. Let me help your family.